to Everlasting Talk. Hello, welcome to Everlasting Talk. Your host, Evaristo Jr. Herrera. Today we are talking about Theodore Roosevelt. This is the Biography Series. Theodore Roosevelt was the youngest United States president, number 26. He was a war hero, conservationist, writer, author, Nobel Peace Prize winner, among other things. Theodore Roosevelt was born on October 27th, 1858 in New York City to Theodore Roosevelt Sr. and Martha Roosevelt. He was the second of four children, and as a child, he was very frail and asthmatic, but he came from a wealthy family and was able to travel the world and be able to learn new things. When he was 13 years old, he actually received a shotgun from his father, and actually that's when he found out he was nearsighted, and that's where he got his famous glasses. As a frail and asthmatic child, he was bullied throughout his childhood, and actually decided to work out, work up his body, get built. And he would actually, when he got into Harvard in 1875, he decided to reinvent himself, become this strong individual who was confident, among other things. After that, pretty much, his father died while he was in school. Once his father, he graduated from Harvard. He ended up graduating and worked in a law firm where he decided to get into politics. He actually met his first wife, Alice Hathaway Lee. They actually met and got married in 1880. She was an American socialite, and she was definitely the first wife he had. So during that time, he actually got into the Republican Party, where he got elected into the New York General Assembly. And actually in 1884, on February 14th, Valentine's Day, his wife Alice and his mom died on the same day. Alice Hathaway died of Bright's disease 2 days after giving birth to their only child. It was a baby girl named Alice. During that time, he was so grief-stricken by both the death of his wife and the death of his mother. He actually retired from politics in 1884. During that time, he actually reunited with his one of his girlfriends named Edith, and they rekindled their relationship in 1885. And they actually married in St. George's, Hanover Square in London, on December 2nd, 1886. So he definitely took away time to, live his life. He was able to meet up with his wife, his new wife Edith, and in 1886 he got back into politics. And during that time, he started to write. And in 1888, he released "Waiting in the West." It was one of his many books that he wrote. He wrote 35 in total. And actually, several years later, on April 21st, 1898, the Spanish-American War would break out, and that's where they would be established the Rough Riders, where he would actually go ahead and fight alongside against the Spanish to fight off the military. It would actually lead the Battle of Kettle Hill, where they go on to win one of many battles that they won. Coming back as a war hero, he would come back to New York, become governor in New York, winning by 1%. And after that, he actually won the vice president nomination under McKinley on March 1st, 1901. He wasn't the U.S. vice president for long, because actually President McKinley was shot dead 6 months later. And Theodore Roosevelt will become the U.S. president on September 14, 1901. He did many things. He established the Panama Canal. During that time, he actually won a second term. So his two terms combined was 1901 to 1909, and he decided not to seek the third term. but actually he decided to run for a third term, but he created the Progressive Party. Actually, during he did a lot of campaigning, and during one of his speeches on October 14, 1912, at the Milwaukee Auditorium in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, he would actually be confronted and shot in the chest. Quote, during his campaign speech, he was like, "Friends, I should ask you to be quiet as possible." He pretty much said after that, "I don't know whether you fully understand, but I've been shot." And everybody was shocked, but he did, because he actually unbuttoned his vest and revealed his bloodstained shirt. And he says, "It takes more than that to kill a bull moose." And he actually went ahead and continued talking the speech, because he decided he wanted to actually continue. He actually pulled out a 50-page speech, saying he's going to actually continue with it. But since there was a bullet and it went through, actually that speech saved his life, and he would keep his very best to continue, and he did. Actually, a shooter was captured right there, and his name was actually Jonathan. Let me see, John Fleming Schrank. But the speech, actually, he went on for 84 minutes after being shot. So it was pretty much like, it's pretty much strong enough to like go and continue the speech even though being shot in his chest. It was definitely eye-opening that he was a very strong man. Actually, before that, I forgot to mention that in 1903 to 1905, there's actually a problem with American football, because there was about 25 deaths in 1903, and in 1905 it was 18 deaths. Actually, the reason why he decided to do something is because his son, Teddy Roosevelt Jr., that was from the second wife, Edith, was injured severely during a football game. Teddy Roosevelt Jr. was a Harvard player, and President Roosevelt actually threatened to abolish football for its brutality and foul play. So he decided to actually talk to Harvard, Yale, and Princeton to a summit in D.C. and learn that it was a good way to learn how to create a safer sport. And we owe that a lot, because obviously, American football is an essential part of sports right now, and we definitely do owe them a lot of gratitude for doing that, because it wouldn't be no college football right now or American football. And we do owe them the debt of gratitude for that. So if anything, after that, he decided to say football. He actually enjoyed the sport a bit, because he actually went to the second Harvard Yale game, so he was a fan. And he would actually write Citizenship in the Republic, one of many book writings, and in that it was the Man in the Arena. It's one of the most famous speeches out there. It's one of my favorite, actually. I could read it to you, actually. The Man in the Arena. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because of there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who actually strives to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in the worthy cause, who at the best knows at the end of the triumph of a high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never knows victory nor defeat. Theodore Roosevelt. Amazing. I always love that. It's definitely one of the most famous speeches out there, according to many critics. And he actually served his term to 1909. He actually would lose his third term, and he would actually live the rest of his life until he passed away on January 6, 1919, of a blood clot in his lungs. He was 60 years old. His legacy will live on. Saving American football. The teddy bear was named after him. We all had as a child. He would obviously many of his work, The Citizenship in the Republic, The Man in the Arena. He wrote 35 books in total, so definitely a great and illustrious career. He would actually create the United States Forest Service, which created the national parks that we know and love, Yosemite, Yellowstone, etc., etc. And he actually also wrote. He was actually a Nobel Peace Prize winner, so he was one of the greatest presidents out there. Yes, he was controversial, but he done many great things. Also creating the Panama Canal. We do owe a lot of gratitude for him. He also championed the Square Deal, domestic policies, promising breaking of trust, regulations of railroads, pretty much many different things. Many people say that he was not the youngest president, but many say it was JFK, but JFK was the youngest president elected, and Theodore Roosevelt was the youngest president um, uh, uh, selected because he won. He became president because of McKinley's dying. So there's debate about who's the youngest, but for sure it's Teddy Roosevelt. So he's definitely the youngest president. Many different things. I would definitely look at his books. I read one of them, Citizenship Republic. It's very, very good, especially The Man in the Arena. So I definitely recommend looking up that. And if anything, he's one of definitely inspired to be great as he was. And I want to thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find me on social media, on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook at Everlasting Talk. And I thank you so much for your time and listening to this episode. And the next episode we actually talk about is Winston Churchill. So be on the lookout for that episode. And I thank you so much for everything. And I hope to hear good feedback from you. Always contact me. And I thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Bye bye.